Blake Shelton and Gwen's awkward moment with Miranda Lambert. Country music stars Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani ended up at the same event as his ex, Miranda Lambert, recently, and fans seem convinced that things must have been super awkward for them. The former wife of The Voice alum probably couldn't escape bumping into them. Blake Shelton divorced Miranda Lambert. Miranda Lambert divorced her husband, and it seemed quite a messy affair back in 2015. At the time, it seemed like a train wreck. In fact, back in 2019, many fans thought that when Miranda sang about getting the hell out of Oklahoma at the Academy of Country Music Awards, she shaded her ex. After her divorce from Blake Shelton, Miranda Lambert moved on with Brendan McClellan. Meanwhile, after dating for about 6 years, Stefani and Blake, who met on The Voice, tied the knot. With all three of them in the country music scene, they were always bound to bump into each other. Miranda Lambert had an awkward encounter. Recently, the performers crossed paths with each other at the 2024 Academy of Country Music Awards. Either the organizers didn't think things through, or Gwen Stefani and her husband didn't worry about Miranda's feelings. The Sun reported that Miranda performed first, and just after that, Blake and Gwen appeared on the stage. Blake Shelton and Gwen Stefani performed after Miranda sang her new song Wranglers at the ACM Awards. Fans noticed that Gwen and her husband got into singing Purple Irises, a love duet, and they thought that must have been very awkward for Miranda. Country music fans react speaking about The Voice alum and his wife. A critic on Twitter at Sydney Bluenose commented on the situation. More commenters said something about the unfortunate planning even though it made for good TV. At Mayhem Matthew, Miranda Lambert playing her song Wranglers in front of Blake Shelton, and later Blake and Gwen singing a duet in front of Miranda, is must-see TV at Real Hill 91. I don't know who needs to hear this, but don't be like Gwen Stefani, being a homewrecker on a show where the guy you're with dated another female artist Miranda Lambert, and on top Gwen being the same night as Miranda. ACMs, what are your thoughts about Blake Shelton and his wife, Gwen Stefani, meeting up with his ex, Miranda Lambert, at the Academy of Country Music Awards? Do you agree that as they followed each other's performance, there must have been some awkward moments backstage? Sound off in the comment below, and come back here for all your country music news. The air was thick with tension as Blake Shelton, Gwen Stefani, and Miranda Lambert found themselves in an unexpected and awkward encounter. It was a scene that tabloids couldn't have dreamed up better, a reality far juicier than any fiction. What unfolded on that fateful evening wasn't just an ordinary awards show run-in, but a complex blend of emotions, history, and public spectacle. Blake and Gwen's relationship had always been a hot topic, but throw Miranda Lambert into the mix, and you've got a trifecta of country music royalty with a tangled past. The stage was set. The setting was a high-profile awards ceremony in Nashville, one of the rare times when country music's elite and pop's brightest stars shared the same space. Blake, still very much a country icon, had navigated the cross-genre waters ever since his relationship with Gwen Stefani became public. His former life with Miranda, however, still hung in the background. Miranda Lambert, a fierce country performer in her own right, had only grown more successful since their highly publicized divorce in 2015. Both had since moved on, Blake with Gwen and Miranda with her husband, Brendan McClellan. But moving on in real life and moving on under the glaring lights of public scrutiny are two very different things. A history of love and loss, Blake Shelton and Miranda Lambert were country music's golden couple for years. They were the epitome of relationship goals for fans, both incredibly talented, with a love story that seemed straight out of a country ballad. From their duets on stage to their interviews, where they spoke so lovingly of one another, it felt like they were invincible. But like many celebrity romances, their marriage cracked under the weight of fame, distance, and reported infidelities. Their divorce shocked fans and left the world buzzing, but it didn't take long for Blake to find love again, this time with pop superstar Gwen Stefani, his co-judge on The Voice. The contrast between Blake's relationships with Miranda and Gwen couldn't be more glaring. Where Miranda was gritty, country, and all-American, Gwen was a ska pop-punk icon from California, with a whole different set of fans and values. Yet somehow, against all odds, Blake and Gwen found love amid their respective divorces. Their bond was something no one saw coming, but it worked. The couple blended their unique styles and backgrounds into a relationship that seemed to defy the rules. However, there was always an undercurrent of tension, especially when Miranda's name came up. The awkward encounter fast-forward to the night of the award show. Blake and Gwen walked the red carpet hand in hand, their public display of affection signaling that they were still very much in love. Photographers snapped pictures, fans cheered, and all seemed well in their world. But as the couple moved closer to the auditorium, Miranda Lambert made her entrance, and suddenly the air shifted. Miranda was stunning, dressed in a sleek, shimmering gown that commanded attention. She looked confident, embodying the strength she had cultivated since her split from Blake. But behind that confidence, there was an undeniable flicker of tension as her eyes met Blake's from across the room. For a brief moment, it was as though time froze, and all the history between them bubbled back to the surface. What made the moment even more charged was Gwen's presence. Though Gwen had always seemed unaffected by Blake's past with Miranda, it's difficult to imagine that there wasn't some degree of discomfort. Miranda and Blake had been together for nearly a decade, a relationship so public and powerful that it still lingered in the minds of fans and media alike. And here they were, all in the same room at the same time. Blake and Miranda exchanged a quick, awkward smile, an acknowledgement of their shared history, perhaps, or maybe just a way to diffuse the tension. Gwen, standing beside Blake, remained poised but noticeably quieter than usual. The three of them were now locked in a moment that could have easily been lifted from a country song, filled with heartbreak, new beginnings, and unresolved emotions. The backstage whispers as the night continued, the tension from that initial encounter never fully dissipated. Backstage, rumors swirled among attendees and reporters. There were whispers of Miranda's icy reaction when she passed Gwen and Blake's table. Some claimed that Blake had tried to engage Miranda in small talk during a commercial break, but the conversation was brief and stilted. Even though Blake and Miranda had been apart for nearly a decade by now, old wounds never fully heal. Especially not in the country music world, where fans and media thrive on storytelling, real-life drama, and raw emotions. This wasn't just about two exes running into each other. It was about the entire narrative surrounding their relationship and how it had been played out in public. Gwen, ever the professional, seemed to sense the uncomfortable vibe between Blake and Miranda and did her best to steer the conversation elsewhere when people approached. Yet the cameras caught fleeting moments of tension in her face whenever Miranda's name came up. The fallout in the days following the awards show, social media buzzed with speculation about the encounter. Fans took sides, with some expressing their sympathy for Miranda, who had been thrust into the awkward situation of facing her ex-husband and his new wife. Others empathized with Gwen, who had to navigate the delicate waters of blending her present with Blake's very public past. Neither Blake, Gwen, nor Miranda publicly addressed the encounter, though their body language throughout the evening spoke volumes. Blake, usually so jovial and carefree in front of the cameras, seemed a bit more reserved, perhaps aware that the world was watching closely for any signs of lingering feelings between him and Miranda. Gwen, on the other hand, was graceful as ever, though some insiders speculated that she felt the weight of comparison whether real or imagined. Miranda, for her part, carried on as if nothing had happened, but fans noticed she avoided speaking about Blake and